Hello, my name is Heather from Fork in the Loaf, and today, I've kind of picked up doing some of my sourdough again, because even though I don't eat a lot of it, I still make it for my family, and I do still eat a full ferment whole wheat sourdough bread occasionally. And so I just got done grinding some wheat, and I want to do, so I've been working with fresh milled whole wheat flour and in making a full ferment 100% fresh milled whole wheat flour. And what I've done is I've done a blend of hard white wheat and hard red wheat. There's a couple of things that I'm noticing. It seems like when I make it with oil, my bread, when I add oil to the bread, it doesn't rise as well. And so I kind of want to do an experiment where I do the exact same recipe, but I will add oil to one and I won't add oil to another. I have noticed that the oven spring isn't as good as the oven spring is with white flour. And I have noticed that when I do 100% fresh milled whole grain, it has to be kneaded. You have to like beat up the grains to create that gluten, or to create the gluten. Yeah, I don't even know what you're doing, but it's without the kneading. I'll show you. So in here, I've already got 3 cups of the whole grain flour. I got a teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar, like my normal bread recipe. I'm going a little bit higher. I'm doing 3 cups instead of 2.5 cups with the whole wheat. It acts a little bit different. Couple of things that I need to do here is I need to add more starter to it, and I need to add a little bit more liquid to it. If I put, and I'm doing 3 cups because it seems to fit better in the bread pan. The first thing that I'm going to do with the water is I've got this is the 1 cup mark. This is 1 1/4 cups. I'm gonna make it go to the 1 cup mark. So I'll leave a 1/4 cup of water in there. And really I could just put 1 cup in there and then get a 1/4 cup more. That would probably be the easy way to do it. But see, now I have a 1/4 cup of water left. I don't know if you can see that. This is my starter, and see how nice and bubbly she is. She's got lots of bubbles. She's very active. I just fed her, did I feed her this morning or last night? I don't even remember. But I'm gonna take a good 1/2 cup. That was probably a good 1/2 cup, and I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. Okay, so I got a little light on here. If you can see at the bottom, there's a lot of flour still down there, and it's already forming into a dough ball. It's okay, I could let that go, but I know that there's not enough water in there. And I'll show you. So like this is becoming kind of a stiffer, no, it's pretty soft still. We'll let it go just a little bit longer, and I will add more water here in just a sec. Okay, one of the things with whole wheat is you want a really wet dough, and this is already a fairly dry dough. There's no stickiness to it. The stuff on my hands, it's hard to explain. But once it gets all of this, it's going to be too dry. You want your whole wheat to be just a little bit wetter than your white flour. So I'm going to add, so I just put 2 tablespoons in there. Judging by how it feels right now and how it's going to feel once it incorporates all that water, I think that's going to be enough water. Okay, so if you can see in here now, it's wet, and it's you can hear it against the sides, but inside it's really not super wet. So I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 10 minutes and let this knead for 10 minutes on 2. So I just kind of wanted to show you too why I'm going to go for 10 minutes. So it's pretty much a good little dough, broken up. But and it's slightly sticky, so it's leaving a little bit on my hands, but not a ton. But if I try to stretch this to do the window pane, it just rips. There's a slight bit of gluten activity started, but it should not just be ripping off like that. And I will show you how that looks in 10 minutes. Okay, so this is kind of what's happening now. It's been 10 minutes, my timer just went off. I don't know how it does all the kneading that it does when it's all clumped in a ball like that, but it does. So I just want to show you what happens now when I stretch that. It's not ripping, it's doing that whole window pane thing. I can't just pull it off into clumps anymore. So this is exactly the consistency that we're wanting. And this is the one I did with no oil. So I'm going to put this in an oiled bowl. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and put some olive oil. I've got two bowls. One is bigger and one is smaller. I'm thinking this will be big enough. I'm just going to lightly oil the inside of the bowl because I don't want it to stick. So although I did not add oil to the bread dough, I am putting oil on the bowl. And I will put this ball, I'll put the top side, the pretty side down first, and I kind of roll it in that oil, and then I'll flip it over. And I'm gonna cover it with plastic wrap, and we'll let this sit out. I've got it at about 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons. So here's the 1/4 cup, here's the 1 cup, there's about 1 cup 2 tablespoons. And then we're gonna go ahead and put 4 cups of flour in here. I'm not even gonna wash out the pan because I'm just making the same exact bread. I'm gonna do 3 cups of flour. Okay, and I don't do perfect. So I've got some extra virgin olive oil here, and I'm gonna put in 2 tablespoons. I wonder if I should put more. Let's just put 3 tablespoons in. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna put the 2 tablespoons of sugar. So I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons. Okay, I'm gonna use about another 1/2 cup of starter. And that's it for starter. I gotta feed this in. Okay, so I got the 3 cups of flour. I have the 2 tablespoons of sugar, the 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna put 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of water, just like I did with the last batch. The only difference is I put 3 tablespoons of oil in this batch. So now I'm going to knead it for 10 minutes, which will give this a 10-minute headway on this batch, but I think it will be close enough that we can tell if there's a difference in raising and all that fun stuff. And this is kind of hot. Hopefully it's okay. I'm gonna bring you down here just to show you that we're just pretty much at the same place we were with the last one. Got a little bit of dry in the bottom, but it's a little bit wetter. So we'll let that get to go for 10 minutes and let it do its thing for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay, so the timer just went off. This is the one, ooh, that's getting warm. This is the one with oil. And it's very similar. It is a little wetter. I probably should have factored that in before I dumped all that water in. I didn't factor in the amount of liquid in the oil, but I think it'll be still very similar. It is stickier. Darn it, we'll just see how it goes. But it still has that window pane stretch to it, but it is a little stickier. Okay, so I am putting that the top in there, and now I'm gonna cover these with plastic, and I will be back. By the time it's done fermenting, it'll probably be just right before I go to bed tonight. So, and then I will shape them. I will put them in loaf pans, and I'm gonna stick them in the fridge overnight. One, it helps the wheat hydrate, and 2, I did this in the middle of the day instead of at night before I go to bed. And it'll be way overproofed if I let it sit out all night while I'm sleeping. All right, so I will see you tonight when I'm ready to shape them. Okay, so I've got here, this is the one with the oil, and it is in a larger bowl. And this is the one without oil in the smaller bowl. And I just kind of wanted you to see side by side. This one has a nice little round rise going, and this one, it is a little bit wetter. But I don't think it's significantly wetter than this one. And it's really, I really feel like the oil in it is what hinders it from this. And this has also been raising for about 10 to 20 minutes longer than this one has. So I've got about 4 more hours before I shape it into loaves and go to bed. So I will come back and show you then. I just wanted to give you an update on where we were 4 hours later. Okay, so it's been about 3.5 hours since the last time I showed you this. This is the one with oil. This is the one without oil. There is about a 10 to 20 minute difference. This bowl is slightly larger. I'm thinking it's raising beautifully. It's got the bubbles. Like you can see some of the bubbles. Oops. You can see the bubbles in the side of the bowl there. So it's doing its thing. This one's doing beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it into pans. These 2 pans, or I'm sorry, yeah, I've got parchment paper lining it, and then I've just got it sprayed with some grease. And I don't know how I'm gonna keep track of which one is which once I get them in here. So I have a paper clip, because that's all I can find. That we're gonna stick this on here, and the one with the paper clip will be the one with the oil. And the reason I'm doing the one with paper clip is the one with the oil is because there's extra. So there's extra with the oil. So that's my thought process. And I'm not going to do a lot of kneading on these. I'm just going to do, oh, this dough is beautiful. I just want to do a shaping by hand. Just kind of make it sealed. I'm gonna stick that in there. And the one with the paper clip is the one that I added oil to. I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna stick it in the refrigerator. And I'm gonna let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. Not for any other reason that other than it's like almost 8 o'clock at night and I don't want to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning to cook this. Same with this one. I'm just going to hand shape it. Dough is beautiful. That one's a little softer than this one, but I did make this one just a little bit drier, which will affect the bread a little bit. We'll see what happens. I know when you're doing artisan loaf, you want a really wet loaf. I like it to be more like a sandwich. I like to make sandwiches and have good toast. So with the paper clip is with the oil. Without the paper clip is without the oil. I'm gonna stick them in the fridge overnight and I will be back tomorrow when I pull them out of the fridge. So it is the next morning. This is I just pulled them out of the refrigerator. This is the one, there's no, and that is what I got out of the fridge. So I rose it in. This one, I would not do this one yet. This is the one with the oil. And this is what I have found. It seems like the oil doesn't rise as well as without oil. So I might let this one sit out a little bit longer. And maybe as it warms up, it will get more spring. But this one, I think I'm gonna go ahead and bake this. So I'm going to put it in the oven at 350. No, I'm gonna put this in the oven at 375 and I'm gonna bake it for 40 to 45 minutes. I want the internal temperature to be 190 to 200 degrees. If I do it like the white bread, it will get undercooked. It'll be undercooked, and the only way you can eat it is as a toast or a French toast or something where you have to cook it. So I've got my oven heating up right now at 375, and I will be back when I am done baking this. Okay, so my timer just went off. The bread just came out of the oven, and this is kind of what I got. And I'm loving the oven spring that I got in that one, and that is the one with no oil. I'm kind of glad I gave it that chance to let this one with the oil rise just a little bit more. So now I'm going to stick this one in the oven for 45 minutes and let's just see what happens. It's as far as it's gotten so far. But if I let it go too much longer, it's either going to overproof or I don't know. I'm just going to stick this one in the oven. And before I do that, I'm going to take some butter on my silicone brush here and just kind of brush the top with some butter because I love the way it looks and tastes. And I like how it kind of helps soften the crust a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and set this over on its side and let this start cooling. And I'm going to throw this one in the oven for 45 minutes, and I'll be back when this is done. And we'll just do a side-by-side comparison. All right, so my timer just went off. Here is that one without oil, and this is the one with oil. And it didn't do too bad. The oven spring was okay. I'm gonna butter the top of this one. I really can't complain. If you look at them comparatively, like this one definitely got more spring than this one. I think when I cut into it and we check out the crumb after it's had a chance to cool, we'll compare them then also. Just remember, this one, I know it's not pretty, but we'll put it right here. This one is the one with the oil. Okay, I'll be back. Okay guys, moment of truth. Let's check out what the crumb in these look like. So this is we're gonna put this on this side. The oily one looks like. Okay. And this is the non-oil one. I think they both look really good. They both have similar feel. There's not a whole lot of difference. I'd say whichever way you want to do it would be just fine. I personally kind of like it better this way. This way I can always add my fats to the bread. You know, like on peanut butter or milk. Really, I think it'd be whichever way you like to do it. It looks like this one has a slightly tighter crumb. This one is a little more crumbly. Like I'm seeing it like almost like it ripped. This one has a tighter hold together. That might make a difference, you know, that might be something that's important to you. So I think either way you go here, you can't go wrong. So I kind of wanted to just take you on that adventure with me to determine which way works better. I think it rises better this way, but honestly, I just don't see that much of a difference in either one of them. It might make a difference in a couple days, like which one of them might get drier faster than the other. I don't know if that's that important to me. So I usually make about one loaf a week. And when you toast it, you can't tell the difference anyway. So I think it's preference, and I kind of prefer it without the oil in it. Thank you for joining me on this adventure of a fork in the loaf. If you like this kind of a video, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and share it with your friends. See you next time.